I first learned the 80-20 principle when I was 23 years old. It was at a business seminar, and this man explained it from the stage. He had also written a book on the topic, which I purchased that day and studied ferociously. Because it was the first time that I had heard of 80-20, it was like rocket science to me, and learning it changed my life for the better in so many ways, including career, health, relationships, and money. The principle continued to serve my life, and I was able to teach it to coworkers and employees. I was able to begin to discover deeper truths about the 80-20 principle and how it works. Vilfredo Pareto is known as the father of the 80-20 principle. He was an Italian economist, and he discovered the 80-20 principle in 1897 when he observed that 80% of the land in England was owned by 20% of the population. This has become known as Pareto's theory of predictable imbalance, and it's since been applied in almost every area of modern life that you can think of. Now, you've probably seen this in your own workplace. 80% of the people are responsible for 20% of the work, and vice versa. To break it down in even more plain speak, 80% of your actions give you 20% of your results, and 20% of your actions give you 80% of your results. Positive and negative, by the way. 80% of the people have 20% of the power, and 20% of the people have 80% of the power. The list goes on here. This is with money, this is with health, this is with being in shape. There are plenty of ways that you can see this rule, and it becomes very obvious and very clear once you've actually lived it and kind of understand it. Here's a graphic that I found particularly alarming. The richest 20% of the people own 82.7% of the world's GDP, which stands for gross domestic product, which are the goods and services produced in any given market or country, and in this case, the world. The rest of the people, approximately 80%, own 17.3% of the GDP. Now, this can feel mind-blowing if you're seeing this for the first time, and hopefully it starts to light a little fire under your ass to get moving and get into that top 20 percentile of whatever it is that you do. It should also be noted that not every productivity equation adds up to 80-20. It could be seen as 90-10 in some cases, or 70-30. The idea is that the vital few will naturally outperform the many. So back to the original story. Just like learning anything, we naturally learn in phases. And if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, which is a study of learning, you can see that the phases of learning are a natural process. The first phase is called remembering, and that's when you just recall specific facts about the thing that you learned. The second phase is understanding, where you're starting to grasp the meaning. The third is applying and using the information to kind of build something new. The fourth is analyzing. You see if it worked and how well it worked. Then you evaluate, you examine, make judgments, and have new insights. And then finally, creating. You take that thing, that learning, that experience, and you create something new based on your personal experience. Now, after years of learning, applying, and evaluating 80-20 in my life, I eventually worked with that same man for a few years. And when I was ready to leave the nest and write my own book based on personal experience and learning the rules as a professional hairstylist and salon owner, and then in the corporate world and seeing 80-20 work there, that was when I started to learn deeper truths about 80-20 and what many of its teachers really don't want you to know. So when word got out that I was leaving the nest and writing my own kind of business memoir, I immediately caught backlash from some of my closest work friends, and they altogether stopped speaking to me at that time. These were people who I had traveled with and spoken on stages around the country at many events with, many of whom I've shared some of my best professional achievements with and also some of my deepest secrets. And I haven't spoken to most of those people since 2014, even though I reached out multiple times. Which brings us to what they don't tell you about the 80-20 rule. These are the reasons why I believe most people never get themselves into that top 20 percentile, if you want to call it that, in their respective interests or expertise or careers. But the fact remains that getting into that top 20% and, even 10 and 5% is really where all the long-term fulfillment and that constant and never-ending growth comes in area of your life that really matters. So it's important that you get there, but there are people that don't want you to get there. The first main reason that most people will never get into that top 20% in their respective discipline or career is because they simply never make it a priority. Now, the same goes for me. Before I had heard of this principle, it simply had never crossed my mind that there was a percentage of the population that was much better off than me, and this is the important part, I could do something about it. Discovering that and then knowing that I could do something about it and making it a priority was a big deal for me, and it really is for everybody. A lot of people just rule themselves out before they even ever get started. One tip that could be particularly helpful if you want to, kind of change this fact, finding top performers in your industry or your area of expertise, whatever it is, which is easy to do today with social media. Once you kind of discover what their KPIs are, the things that they're shooting for and what's good for them, meaning, what does it mean to be that top 20% for them? How did they get there? Once you see that, then you can model it. So it's totally achievable for everybody to start moving in that direction, but it's definitely helpful for you to know what these top performers in your area of life are doing. The second reason why all of the world is owned by 20% of the people is because many people at the top simply don't want you to know. So they don't share all of the secrets, and this was my experience as well. Let me give you an example of this. A business owner might teach you to be a great salesperson in their organization, but the last thing that he wants for you to do is become his competitor. So there are next level skills of entrepreneurship that business owner is simply never going to teach you. And I've seen this so many times in the corporate world and also at private businesses that has just become glaringly obvious. This fact also might offend some people watching it because you've either felt it from the bottom end or you've done it from the top end. Yes, I'm talking to you, corporate VPs and corporate sales VPs that just simply keep moving people around the board because you don't want to see them, get better than you or take over your place, so you hold them down. If you're one of those people who's feeling held down and you're starting to wonder, is this true? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes, it's true. You're being held back by the person above you, and they're doing it on purpose. And this is simply self-protection for a lot of them. Some of them have just huge egos. But the fact is, this is going on, and if you're finding yourself kind of bumping up against a wall and you're doing everything, to develop your skills, it may be time to move to a different spot, a different company, or try something new, because these people are never going to let you overtake their position. And the third reason why people don't get into that higher level group is because you have to leave some people behind if you're going to move up in life. Most people would rather stay in their comfort zone than grow. And if you're going to break into that top 20% or 10% or 5%, whatever it is you're trying to do, of performers in your chosen area, you're going to have to get some new friends and spend less time with friends that aren't, moving upward. And we all know this can be difficult for people long term, but it's absolutely necessary. We've all heard the saying, you become like the top 4 or 5 people that you spend the most time with, and of course, the books you read, the information you take in as well. Everything you're putting in your brain and everything you're, kind of hearing on a daily basis is going to play into whether you're making progress or not. Since leaving my former career, I'm experiencing all of the same growing pains of starting from the bottom, with one core difference. I'm totally aware of this natural law, so I can design a roadmap to get there. But no matter where you're getting started, getting yourself into top 20 or even top 10% in your chosen discipline is achievable, I believe, for everybody. You may never be that top 1 person, but you can get into that top percentile. It just takes some focus and hard work. In summary, I hope you've decided to, number one, make a move, which is really the first step in this. Number two, to start to figure out how to block out the naysayers that are holding you back, and find an empowering group of friends that can inspire you and support your journey. Just doing those three things will move you way further and way faster than you ever thought you could go. So if you like this video, please smash that like button, as we say here on YouTube, and of course, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video when I post. See you in the next one.